Hello everyone. In this video I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience and knowledge about data backup, recovery, and whenever you have some major virus issues, how to protect yourself and how to be a little bit careful when you're doing these things. Now, whatever information I'm giving is for educational purpose. You want to take precaution when you are opening a computer. You want to make sure that you unplug the powers and you know what you're doing because things can go bad, and I don't want to be responsible when something happens. But I'm hoping that these things will help you to understand how things work, and you can try to do this. You can try to, if you wanted to practice something, get an old computer or a laptop, and you can try to open things up, and that's the best way to learn before you try to do something on your own computer. So the first thing I want to talk about is data backup. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have some kind of an external hard drive that you can use to back up your information. So these external hard drives, they come in two different sizes. One is these types which are like which connect to your desktop most of the time, but they're a little bigger. And then these ones, which are a little bit thinner, so they are portable. You can carry it with you. You can buy these from $50 to $100. They come in capacity of 500 gigabytes to 1000 gigabytes, and now they even go to 2000 gigabytes, which is known as 2 terabytes and 1 terabytes. So they're not really too expensive. You want to have those things, and a lot of these hard drives, they come with a special program that will allow you to automate your backup. So you can set it up and say that once a day or once a week at this day and this time, back up these folders automatically. So it will keep checking and it will back up at that time. You just need to have your computer on and running so that it can do the backup. If you already have some kind of a backup hard drive and you don't have a software, you can try to look for a program called Google's GoodSync. Just Google the word GoodSync and you'll find their website, and you'll find a lot of other programs which will allow you to do that. So it's very important that try to get a backup, and you'll find that a lot of small stores that sell these too. So and they're not expensive, and it's worth it because when something happens to your computer, your data is the most important thing. You really do not care too much about the computer because you can get a new computers nowadays in Canada. Here in Toronto, a desktop computer, you can get a pretty good one from $200 to $300. Even a laptop for $300 to $400. You don't need to spend too much money. And in the data backup, there is another option that is known as network access storage. It's called NAS, N-A-S. What these guys do, these are also for backup, but they attach to your router. And so if you had 2 to 3 computers in the house, they all could back up in one place. And also with these devices, you can put your music in one place, your videos, and you can access it from different places, even from your smartphones like iPhones and things like that. A lot of these hard drives, they have that feature. This is one that I have the pictures from iOmega. I have personally used, and I was very impressed by the software and how easy it was. But you'll find that a lot of companies that do that, this is one of the growing trend where people try to put everything in one place. And if you had those smart TVs, you can even try to connect those smart TVs to this, so you can watch all your movies that you have on there. And you can also remotely log into this from anywhere in the world. You will need to configure your router, and there's a few settings you need to do, and they will help you with that. And then you also need to know your IP address because you get it from your internet service provider. In some cases, they tend to change constantly, so you just need to know what it is. So if you are away and you realize you needed to get access to a file or a video, you could log into it from anywhere in the world and you can access this. Okay. And sometimes these network access storage, they just come with the box, and you have to buy the hard drive separately. And sometimes they come with a hard drive, and sometimes when you get the box, they have options where you can have multiple hard drives in it. So that's for redundancy. So you can have backups of a backup. So if you felt that your information was very important, you might as well do that. It will cost you a little bit more money initially, but it's worth it to have extra copies of your important stuff. So network access storage are a good option too. They roughly go from $120 to and up. I'll just show you quickly, just have something here. This was the one I had used, the iOmega 1 TB, which is 1000 gig, and it's out of stock right now. And I remember this was around like $110 to $120, but you'll find that there are other ones around that you can look at. I'm looking at tigerdirect.ca, so that's an option. So this is also a good thing to do if you didn't want to have an external hard drive for all your computers. The next option is to use the cloud services. You might have heard about the word cloud services, which is when your information is stored on the internet. So whatever files you wanted, you could keep a copy on your computer and also a copy on the internet that you can access from anywhere. Most of these services, they give you limited capacity, and a lot of time you have to pay money for it, like box.net or mozy.com. They all have various plans where you could get like 50 gig for $6 a month or something like that. There are companies like dropbox.com which start you with 2 gigabytes, and then as you refer more people to them, they keep on adding more. The thing with Dropbox is you have to have all your files in one folder, and everything in that folder is synced to Dropbox, and you can sync it across multiple devices. So if I make a change on this computer, all the other computers will have that updated file, so I don't need to worry about moving the files around. Google has a new thing called Google Drive, which is giving you 5 gig, and the same thing applies. You can even put all your documents, and you can even install their program called Google Drive on your computer, and that will let you sync files from your PC to the Google Drive, which is a cloud service. Microsoft has a thing called SkyDrive, which is through Hotmail, and they also have a thing called Windows Live Mesh, which you can install on your Microsoft Windows computer. And in some places it's kind of weird how that works. You can get from 5 to 25 gig of space, and with the Windows Live Mesh, I like it because you can choose which folders on your computer you need to sync. So it's really amazing. What I try to do is I take all my important business related or whatever documents I have, and those I sync it to my cloud services. I not only have an external hard drive where I make a copy, but I also make a copy of all the important ones on the cloud because it is limited in capacity. So if something happened, I'll have access to it from anywhere in the world. So, and with the new Windows 8 computers, it has a very good integration with SkyDrive, and I believe it's coming with 25 gig of free hard drive space online on Microsoft's SkyDrive. So very good way to get yourself going on this. The next I want to talk about data recovery. So when your computer doesn't work, something happened, there was a bad electric storm, and that's why it's a good investment to invest in a nice power bars, so that when there is a surge it will protect you for your computer. And so in some cases the computer may not boot up. What you can do is, for your computers, is you can remove the hard drives from it. So here you need to be careful, make sure you unplug the power, and then you need the screwdrivers to unscrew it. With both desktop and the laptop, it's fairly easy to get to your hard drive. You can even look at online to the manufacturer's website, and they'll tell you how to get access to those hard drives to remove it. With laptops, usually in the back side, you remove a few screws and you can then snap it out. Same thing with the desktop, you have to open a few screws and then some more inside, and then you can get access to it. So once you remove the external hard drive from there, you can get an external hard drive enclosure. So this one here, this is for a desktop, and this one is for a laptop, because they come in different sizes. If you're not sure, just take the hard drive with you, get the technical people to find you one. And what happens with these two is, like, once you put your hard drive in it, the other end is a USB connection. You connect it to your computer. Now this is like an external hard drive, and you will be able to access all of your files. Now there are certain types of problems where when you connect this to your another computer, a new one or a different one, it may not recognize. Now those type of problems are a little tough to solve. That's where you'll find that you have to go to a professional, and you can look around, there's more stuff to do in it. But if you do this, at least if your hard drive is getting recognized, you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to get your information out, because this is where the money is. And some places will charge you $1,000 to get 1 gig of data out of your computer, and sometimes it is all they are doing is attaching it to an enclosure. Or you can even get these things which are cables. So without the enclosures, you can get these cables. They come with different ends for hard drives, for desktops and laptops. You connect it to it, there's a power for it, and you connect the USB to your computer. Now you can move all your important information from your old hard drive to the new computer which is working. So this is a really good tip that you can use. Just be careful when you're opening the computer, and if you don't know, find someone who can open it for you. At least get the hard drive out, and then the enclosure part, you might find it very reasonably easy to do. And again, this enclosure, once you get it, this acts like an external hard drive, so you don't have to buy one, and you can keep using it if they are in good shape. So this is the data recovery part. As I said, if the hard drives don't get recognized, that's a completely different problem. The last thing is viruses. So sometimes you get some viruses and you cannot remove them. The antivirus won't even work, because a lot of these viruses are really smart, and they will stop the antivirus from working, or they hide themselves in such a way under some programs that the viruses cannot find it. So what you might want to do sometimes is, when you boot your computer, start tapping the F8 key on the keyboard, like on the top where you have the F1, F2, F3. Start tapping F8. It will come up with a menu which is asking you to boot in a safe mode. So you can either choose the safe mode, or you can choose safe mode with networking. With networking means that you will have internet connection in case you wanted to download something, or you want to update your antivirus definitions, the updates you get for your antivirus. For this, you will need to be connected to your router or to your internet with a wire. It will not work well wirelessly. So when it boots in the safe mode, you may be able to run your antivirus, and it will be able to find the viruses. You can also install a program called Malwarebytes. You can Google it. It's a free one, and you can have this along with your antivirus. You do not want to have two different antivirus programs, but Malwarebytes is not actually an antivirus. It was a malware detection. So you can have this part of your program, and there's the free version of it. Just use the free one. Whenever you have a problem, you run it, update it, and check it for issues. Malwarebytes can do a good job in finding some things when the virus scans don't, and you can even install this during the safe mode. So you can run it, let it check it, and it will try to find it. So when you are installing Malwarebytes, be careful. At the end it will ask you a question: do you want to use the free one, or you want to start a free trial? Just use the free option. You really don't need the trial, and then they'll ask you to pay them money. Now if this doesn't work, you can get what is known as boot CDs. So what these do is, it will boot your computer into that CD rather than the Windows operating system, and then you can run a scan, because that way it will be able to find everything. Now one of the really good one is called Kaspersky Boot CD. So I'll just show you here. I'm just going to go to Google and type Kaspersky Boot CD, and most probably the first is called the rescue disk. You can even type that, Kaspersky rescue disk. Click it. You have to download this program on your computer, so you need to have a working computer for this, and then you burn it to a CD or a DVD. What this disk does, it boots into Linux, and then from there they have a link that will allow you to start their antivirus program, download the updates. So it's good to have an internet connection at that time, and it will try to find the problems. And I've had a really good success with this, and this will do. The other good thing with this is, when your computer you cannot boot into, you can actually use the boot CD to boot into the Linux. Now you can attach an external hard drive to your computer, and you can move all your important files from your computer that is not working well to an external hard drive, so that way you can save your stuff before you try to do anything else. So it's always good to save all your important stuff before you do anything with this. So this is a really good tool. You can download this. It's a free tool, and it doesn't matter whether you have Kaspersky on your computer right now or not. This will do the job. Even Microsoft has a thing called a malicious software removable tool, and there's the download link there on the bottom. You can Google that and it will also try to find it, but the Kaspersky is most probably is going to take care of the problem. If nothing else works in Microsoft Windows, when you boot up, and I think you need to press F8, you can try to boot a previously good version of Windows, and there's an option called Windows Restore, but this will only work if you've activated Windows Restore. And if this is not there, the final thing to do is what is called a factory restore. What factory restore does is it sets your computer back to the way it was the day you got it. That means you're going to lose all your personal files and all the programs that you have installed in the computer since you got it. So Microsoft Office, any other programs you have, all your pictures and music and everything will be gone. So it's important to back up everything before you do this last step. And the way the factory restore works is that you just need to Google and find out what key you need to press. So when your computer boots up, sometimes it might be F10 key, sometimes F12, sometimes might be a combination. When you press it, it will go into what's called a factory restore, and then it will ask you a few questions and you go through it. Sometimes it may not work from it because that factory restore may have been removed from your computer, so then you need to look around and you may have burned a CD or a couple of DVDs for factory restore. You put those CDs in the computer, boot your computer, and it will boot into factory restore and it will step you to the process. But remember, this will wipe out everything in your computer. So if nothing worked, this will really clean up your computer of all the viruses and any problems you might be having with the computer. Sometimes you might find that when you're trying to boot the CD like Kaspersky or the factory restore, it is not booting to the CD, it is trying to go to the computer right away. For that, you have to go into the BIOS and then tell the BIOS that try to boot, my first boot option should be my CD, and then try to boot to the hard drive. In many computers, when you try to boot the computer, you can press F12, which will give you the boot options, and then you can use the arrow keys to decide whether you want to boot the CD or do you want to boot to the hard drive. Hard drive is what you already been doing, so you want to boot it to the CD. So these are the ways you can work through it. Thank you for watching. Hope this was useful. Drive that you can use to back up your information. So these external hard drives, they come in two different sizes. One is these types, which are like which connect to your desktop most of the time, but they're a little bigger. And then these ones, which are a little bit thinner, so they are portable. You can carry it. Hello everyone. In this video I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience and knowledge about data backup, recovery, and whenever you have some major virus issues, how to protect yourself and how to be a little bit careful when you're doing these things. Now whatever information I'm giving to you, if you wanted to practice something, get an old computer or a laptop and you can try to open things up, and that's the best way to learn before you try to do something on your own computer. So the first thing I want to talk about is data backup. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have some kind of an external hard drive. For educational purpose, you want to take precaution when you are opening a computer. You want to make sure that you unplug the powers and you know what you're doing, because things can go bad and I don't want to be responsible when something happens. But I'm hoping that these things will help you to understand how things work and you can try to do this. You can try it with you. You can buy these from $50 to $100. They come in capacity of 500 gigabytes to 1000 gigabytes, and now they even go to 2000 gigabytes, which is known as 2 terabytes and 1 terabytes. So they're not really too expensive. You want to have those things, and a lot of these hard drives, they come with a special program